Well, I'm back in the east side washes this morning here in Zion. And I'm just wandering some areas, checking them out, seeing how the color is, looking at some areas where I was last year, and just seeing how things look and whether I can improve upon anything. And there's always a few things I identified but didn't photograph, so looking to see how those might look this year. But as I'm wandering through these narrow washes, I'm really disturbed to see all the graffiti. There's just a ton of graffiti on these walls. It's just ridiculous. I guess with so many people here, then you just get an increased amount of the kind of folks who feel like they need to do that. But man, I've been coming to Zion for, 25 years. I've never seen graffiti. And this is the first time I've ever seen it. And it's really discouraging. So I'm here about 2 weeks earlier than I was last year. And the reason I came earlier was because last year I feel like I was about maybe a week late for prime color. It was still really nice, but I wanted to try to get here more at peak. Well, it's definitely not peak yet. There's a lot of green still, and a lot of green. But honestly, the color that I'm seeing looks kind of dried out, like it's, it turned, but it never got vibrant, and now it's just dry. I don't know whether they just didn't have enough rain this year, or exactly what, but it doesn't look very good right now. Maybe some of the things that are still green will turn and look great, but right now it's a little rough and kind of discouraging that the color just looks a little burnt out and dry. But anyway, I'm going to keep going, seeing what I can find. There's still likely to be something exciting around the next bend, so we'll keep trying. Well, I found a pretty neat subject here. Just a couple of pine trees and a little bit of fall color at the bottom. And set up my view camera with my 450 lens on there, and just exposed 2 sheets of Velvia 50 and just a couple of seconds at f45. No camera movements at all, just straightforward and simple, and hopefully it'll look kind of neat. Now it's time to get packed up and head down canyon for an image that I really want to make. I worked on it last year, but I need to improve on it, so I'm going to head on down and get set up for that one. The light's going to be just about right for that one in about an hour, so that gives me just about enough time. So anyway, I'm glad to have found this neat little scene today, and we'll just keep on going. There's so much neat stuff here in Zion to photograph. Here's the Velvia 50 from this scene. One thing I'm always concerned about with images like this in Zion, with trees against a sandstone cliff, is the brightness of the cliff behind the trees. To me, it's distracting, almost like sky peeking through, which I always try to avoid in forest scenes. In this case, I've tried to darken the cliff as much as possible while keeping it realistic looking, and I also employed some darken cloning to put some pine needles over the most distracting bright spots. This is an image where over time I might decide to do even more of that cloning to remove distractions, or crop some more of the top to focus the viewer's attention on the main subject of those beautiful glowing trees. Well, I got all set up on that second picture that I was hoping for today, but it all of a sudden clouded over. like it was sunny and clear, and so you had great reflected light this morning, but then all of a sudden when I got all set up on it, I looked and man, the glow wasn't there, and it was just all hazy and no blue sky and real direct sun. I took a couple of sheets, but I'm going to have to come back and try that again, so hopefully I'll get better conditions in another day. Meanwhile, I'm stuck in the traffic jam here, waiting to go through the tunnels, which is always exciting. There's so many people here. It's amazing. I'm going to head down canyon and get organized a little bit and then make a plan for this afternoon. If it's still going to be kind of hazy like this, there's still some really nice soft light pictures you can make, so I'll try to work on something like that. And so anyway, that's what will happen hopefully this afternoon. Well, I was just wandering down this wash looking to see what I might find, and I stumbled upon this beautiful backlit scene. Just really pretty colors. Got some pine trees in there, a nice cliff that should be catching some reflected light, and a little bit of the wash, white rocks at the bottom to ground it, but not too much of that, hopefully. Like most backlit scenes, it turns out that when I metered it, or I should say most backlit scenes in canyon country like this, there's so much reflected light that's bouncing around, it's not too contrasty when I metered it. So I did shoot Ektar, Provia, and Velvia though. Ektar just in case I'm not metering it correctly in that it has more contrast range than I think, but it really only looks like a couple of stops of contrast range, so we'll see. That's why I tried the Velvia, because it just seemed like it would fit, and definitely Provia. Now, I was looking right into the sun though, and so not only did I put the lens shade on, which honestly didn't really help much, I did have to use my little sun shade, and so I just clip that to the front standard. It's a little articulated clamp. I take an old dark slide and clamp it on there, and then while I'm looking through the camera, I very carefully position it so that it just casts a shadow over the glass of the lens, and that's enough to stop the flare. And of course, again, looking through the ground glass while I do it, I make sure that it's not vignetting or intruding into the picture at all. Anyway, I think this is a really neat picture, and it's just emblematic of the kind of thing you just came around a corner and wow, there it was. And I thought initially, oh well, this will be great once the sunlight's off, it'll be a nice quiet scene, but gosh, it looks so good with the backlight. So I photographed it that way, and who knows, maybe another day or later today when the sun's off of it, I'll try it that way. But these backlit scenes, when they fit right as far as exposure with enough bounce light to fill in the shadows so that it's not too contrasty, they really, really look good. So anyhow, that was an unexpected surprise and something that's always fun to find here. And now I'm going to pack up and just keep wandering down that wash, and who knows what might be around the next corner. The Velvia 50 here came out really well, as did the Provia and Ektar. This is because of all the bounce light reflecting back into the scene. There's no flare, but the sky is intruding just a touch in the upper right corner, which I saw in the ground glass. A combination of cropping and burning in takes care of that nicely. The impression of light here is really amazing, and there is detail in the deepest shadows as well as the highlights in the white rocks. I'm very pleased with how well Velvia handled this scene. Well, this is the scene that I found yesterday, and it was just too windy. So I was able to get it today. Just enough breaks in the wind to try to capture this thing. I'm not sure if it's going to be warm enough. I hope so. I mean, I know I could warm it up a little in post, but there's some nice light kicking in this ridge behind me here, but to my eye it's hard to tell whether it's really doing anything, but we'll see what the film does. I did both Provia and Velvia, so we'll see. And anyway, I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes and see if something else happens. You never know. Things might just, a little cloud in the sky might just light up and get warm and throw a nice glow down here. So I'll stick it out for a little bit and then pack it up, and that'll be it for the day. This scene has been photographed before by others, but when I stumbled upon it, I had to give it a try myself. I wanted to emphasize the curving leading lines in the sandstone foreground, which directs attention into the scene. I also really like the little curved trunk pine that makes a nice anchor at the left edge. The curve of the wash and the flow of the sandstone all lead up to the hillside, which has its own curved shaped ridge, and the lines leading away from the ridge on either side bring you back down into the image. Got a few choices for tomorrow morning. I found some things this morning that I was a little late to, but getting there a little earlier in the morning would be good. So I have a few things in store for tomorrow morning. And anyway, that'll be it for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.